And here just going for e5, just pushing the pawn all the way, and here decaps on e5 was played. You could have also gone for a move like d5 in this position, but that pawn is going to be a thorn in your position. If you go for h4, a5 now, and after a4 you play h5, so definitely alpha 0 like play. And after g3 you play c4, and here after decaptures you play knight to f5, b3, queen to b6, and here after all of this just queen to e2. And the thing is that there are a lot of moves you can play. You can play bishop to a6, bishop to b4. The position would be absolutely amazing. But after e5, here decaps on e5 was played. Now just comes this knight caps on e5, queen to d5, and now here knight e to f3, here f6 now. I mean, normally f6 is not generally considered to be as a good move, but in this position it works, so it's fine. Here queen to e2, now e5 even, and here we have b3. And here knight to f5 would have been, I mean, now almost natural. After knight to c4 you play this bishop to d6, knight captures, queen captures, bishop to a3 now, just trying to challenge that pawn, and somewhere along the line maybe you can pick up one of the double pawns. And here after castles you play a queen side castle. This is the idea. And it would be really epic and aggressive if Arjun actually went for it, and he is the mad king. He normally goes for such lines, but in this position after b3, here knight to g6 was played, but just knight to c4, and after bishop to g4 now just going for h4 and just h5. And what do you do in this position? Here queen to e4 was played, and now here king to f7, we have knight to e3 attacking the queen, but a trade of queens. Queen captures, decaps, and bishop caps on e3, g captures, so completely ruining pawn structure of Arjun. And here in this position you could go for this rook to d8, I mean definitely just completely taking space. And here after bishop to d2 you play king to e6, rook to e1, rook to d7. After knight to c4 you can just play bishop to e7, king to e2, rook h to d8, and your position would be absolutely fine. You can just move the bishop out of the way, maybe trade a few pieces, your position should be fine. But after g captures, here knight to f4 was played, taking away a lot of those squares from the king. And here we have this knight to c4, knight to e6, bishop to e3 in this position, and here just bishop to e7. So with every trade game is going towards a draw, it's very difficult to see right from here who can come out on something. But if you can manage it and see it from the perspective of who has the most breaks in the position, it's definitely black. So Arjun needs to be a little bit careful. Here c3 comes, and here rook h to d8, and now just going for this king to e2, rook to d7 now, rook a to d1, and rook a to d8. So here definitely just going for a trade and forcing it even. Rook captures was played, now just comes knight to a5, just challenging those pawns. And here just going for this rook to c7, defending it. And you could play this king to g3, king to d3 in this position. After king to e8 you move further with king to c4. The thing is, you cannot actually do anything here to my knight. My knight is just chilling here on the a5 square. There's not much you can do. All you can do is play maybe g6, and after rook to d1 you play even f5, e captures, g captures, maybe rook to g1, just trying to occupy this file. The knight is going to be an annoyance towards here. Rook can occupy the entire file. Maybe you can try out something, but you always have this king to f7, so maybe not that much. But after rook to c7, here rook to d1 was played, and now just g5, immediately just pushing those pawns towards the queen side or towards the king side. Here rook to h1, but just king to g6, king to f1, and knight to d8 was played. And here we have this rook to g1, knight to f7 now, and just going for f4. We have e captures, bishop captures even, because you cannot capture this because of this king. And here we have bishop to d6. Now do you trade? Well, if you trade, you go into a very drawn in game, because after bishop captures you play knight captures, f3. If you have something knight to b5, then just comes a4, knight caps on c3. Yes, you give up the pawn, because once the rook moves you can always capture it back. Here after king to d2 you just play rook to d7, king to e3, knight to d1 check, and after king to e2 you play knight to b2. And after this, knight caps on c6, finally grabbing the pawn. c4 comes, but you can first go for a swish and sook in this position, which is h caps on g5. And after c3 now you just go for even f4, just preparing and saving the pawn. And here rook to d2 check, king to f3. This is the important move. You don't want to go king to e3. If you go king to e3, your position just completely crumbles apart, because knight to d1 check and you can just resign in this position. So you don't want to go for that. So obviously what you want to play is king to f3. And here after rook to d3 check, most likely this would be a perpetual way, you can just go for a draw. But obviously this is one such lines. There are many lines exist inside this entire all of the things that's happening. If bishop to e3 was played, now just comes this knight to e5, king to e2, and just g4, pushing the pawn all the way. Rook to d1 now, bishop to e7, and here just going for this bishop to f4, rook to c8, bishop caps on e5, f captures, rook to h1 now, and here just going for king to f7, knight to c4, king to e6, and here we have knight to e3 and even a5, pushing the pawns all the way. But still, a lot of trades had happened, and now you have a bishop against a knight. It's most likely they're going to end in a draw. Still, here Arjun is the one who can push for a win. Here knight to c4 was played, rook to f8, a4, rook to f3, and just knight caps on a5. So definitely creating a pass pawn, but here just c4, and that's a very beautiful move, and it just shows you how much Boris even knows about the position. He just has calculated everything. Knight caps on c4, and here just comes rook caps on c3, rook to a1, and just rook to c2 check, king to d3, rook caps on f2, a5 now, bishop to c5, and here just going for a6, pushing the pawn all the way, rook to f3 check in this position, and here king to e2 was played, and now just going for rook to f2 check, king to d3, rook to f3, and here both plays went for a threefold repetition, and the game definitely ended in a draw, because the thing is that you cannot do anything else. If you push the pawn, then just comes a bishop captures, I'll just sacrifice it, and the thing is that I'll push my pawn, you're gonna have to go for knight to e3, and you're gonna have to sacrifice your piece for the pawn. That's gonna be the problem. So the game would have ended right there as well. So both players know it. I mean, why just show off with all of these sacrifices? So that's why it just ended in a draw. Arjun definitely needed a breather, because the last game did not go so well for him playing against Kokesh. He suffered a devastating loss, and you also have to think about your team. I mean, you cannot just go on going all crazy. You have to be consolidating sometimes as well, and he's going to be facing he's going to be playing in the next round as well, so he has to think about that as well. But great game by him. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.